weeps for steady soil and handshakes. Unbroken promises and steel-embedded dreams. It is the dream of antiquated generations and adolescents, and sometimes even me. My hometown's rockets speak Russian and whiz through diaspora. It is a fingernail in the much larger ocean of the universe, but it sticks on my lungs like the labored breath of its shade. The smoke of Yafo, or the symphony of sirens as the sun sets on another week here. Echoes are the only thing we can all agree on. The neutral nature of noise when it drips off tongues like the notes spoken when you ask me if I am Jewish. Upon my yes, pretty fucked up what's happening in Israel. Word. But I am not the Gaza Strip. It is. Pretty fucked up. But I am not the Gaza Strip. Not the walls of women wailing as their houses are leveled. Not the dismantled boy whose healthcare is on the other side of the checkpoint. I am more Rachel Corrie than the bulldozer. I am never that fucking bulldozer or the soldier whose only Arabic is stop or I'll shoot. I do not hold a PhD in conflict resolution, but I do know this. When my eyes roll back for sleep, there is a firework of a Tel Aviv sunset burned on my rusting corneas. Wholeness exists for me only in the desert or the shook on a bustling Friday, scents of roasted chickpeas and spiced tea bags, real and comfortable like home. My hometown taught me to coexist over Arak and Ashkelon bars, wake to shakshuka with sabras in hotel rooms, and worship stars for peace from a bomb shelter my students use as a library in the Golan. So when I wake at night, sweaty with nightmare, it is my hometown anthem pumping in my eardrums like the soundtrack of my own funeral. My hometown, I am tethered to you. So please, for my sake, could you learn how to behave?
Yeah.
Thank you. Serious. That was just what I've been thinking about right now. All right, we're going to bring it back. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. This is amazing, packed, amazing night. Give it up here if you're having a great night. And I have to say, I have heard a few grunts from the audience. I'm very proud of myself. I also want to remind you guys that if you like what's happening tonight and you happen to have tomorrow night free, that we have a deal for $5. You can come back tomorrow, and you can just talk to Erica and Krista in the back there about that. And I also, who's been to the Phase? Woo! What is the Phase, Megan?
The Phase is arguably the oldest lesbian bar in the country. It's been around since 1970, and it's the red building that you see when you walk out of the alley of the 8th Street. It's right there. So they're open tonight. And they're having sort of a crazy time over there. They're having $2 PBRs, those big PBRs, $2.
They're dangerous.
Specials.
Dangerous.
They're playing it's indie music night, and inexplicably the whole staff is wearing these weird Western shirts at night. Just tonight. They're not open the next 2 nights. So tonight is the night to go if
Yeah, the Phase is definitely a theme.
They just turned 40.
They just turned 40.
Oh, and you do need to be 21.
You do need to be 21.
Oh, wait, I need water.
All right. Without further ado,
She's getting water.
Have some.
Drink her Bible slowly.
slowly, again. Andrea Gibson. I cannot tell you how many people were like, my crush on Andrea Gibson is the reason I'm here today.
My girlfriend's crush.
My girlfriend's crush.
I love you.
This thing is like attacking me. Andrea is both a ukulele player and a thimble collector. Thimble is a very hard word for me to say. She's the 2008 Women of the World Poetry Slam.
Yeah!
Which I think was the first ever Wells, right?
Yes!
Yeah.
I was there, I fell down.
You okay?
I fell down when she won.
Oh, that's too big of a story. Out of pure joy.
It was that big of a deal. Into a judge from New Jersey.
Nice. They would judge you in Wells?
No.
No. All right. willing to also perform it well. She's, for the past 3 years, placed in the Individual World Poetry Slam. She has a bunch of merch here, including her book, Pole Dancing to Gospel Hymns. I've seen her on the Salt Lines Tour, also featuring Tara Hardy, and this year in the Elephant Engine High Dive Revival Tour. She's fucking amazing. From Denver, now Boulder, Andrea Gibson.
Wow, hi.
Hi.
Natalie actually fell down because she was screaming at a judge. She actually was standing up, I heard rumors of this, with her crutch in the air being like, 10! 10! Threatening the judge.
I can neither confirm or deny the more.
This is such a happy looking microphone. It's so bubbly. Oh no.
What the
Another knob in front.
Does anybody have a little piece of tape I could go? Oh.
Nick, the sound guy.
And Natalie has just so happened to pick my entire set list for the evening, so if you have qualms with it, you have qualms with her.
Bring it on.
Derek Brown, he's a poet, and if you haven't heard of him, you should check out his work. He put together an anthology of spoken word called The Good Things About America, and that's not often a subject I write on, but I did for this poem. We were supposed to write about a town in the U.S., and I wrote about the small town where I grew up in the woods in Maine, and this is it. I'm going to be giving you cues on the music. So for example, that right now is just a little bit too soft for me. Maybe a little bit. Okay, now you can rewind it. I'm sorry.
That's good. They'll be able to hear that in the back.
We were chubby-faced school kids, Snicker bar windpipe, crab apple pirates, backward baseball-capped, knee-scraped snow angels, Dukes of Hazzard dreamers, bumper car-bodied salamander catchers, Michael Jordan believers. I couldn't fly, but my hang time was 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Smart kids were stupid. Books were trees cut down. I was a tomboy in love with Malcolm Cushion. He had a birthmark in the shape of Canada on his left cheek. The teachers didn't trust him. His mother was the accidental broken tooth in a bar fight. I had one black friend. Her name was Erica. She had a jackknife. She carved a gash into the center of her palm, another into mine, pressed our hands together and asked if I thought it would turn her blood white. I couldn't read her fear or hope. I thought history was over. I cried during the national anthem. Once I found a butterfly's wing on the sidewalk. I wanted to keep it, but I didn't. I knew there were things I should never find beautiful, like death and girls. On Saturdays, I walked around town with a wheelbarrow, collecting aluminum cans. On Sundays, my father paid me a penny for every cigarette butt I pick up in the driveway. I was picking up cigarette butts when Tommy Chambers punched my tooth out. I spit on his bike seat and beat the crap out of his older brother. I started writing songs, recorded them on my ghetto blaster, mailed the tapes to the local radio station, but they never played them because they never had good taste. My mother did. She was a secretary. Her fingernails were red, and she loved my father, who after the war became a mailman. So when I was a baby, my mother would carry me to the post office and weigh me on the postal scales. Once, years later, I got lost in the mail. The next day, I came home from college and corrected my father's grammar. When I was 10, my mother had another daughter. I heard babies sometimes die in their sleep, so at night, when my parents went to bed, I put on my Karate Kid kimono and sneak into her room to guard her heartbeat. The heartbeat thieves didn't find her for 15 years. At 11, I discovered beer. At 19, I nailed my palm to Amanda Buckner's vagina, actually drooled on her breast, and said yes so loud God couldn't disagree. But my family did, so I lost them for a while. And in that while, my Uncle Billy lost his fingers to the paper mill. My Uncle Peter lost his liver to Vietnam. My mother lost her legs to God's will. In her will, I inherit everything. The 17 photographs we didn't lose in the fire. all of them with charcoal edges. My mother holds them to her chest and tells me she can still smell the smoke. I tell her I will guard them well. My father's freckled shoulders, my sister's brown eyes, my mother's patient hands buckling my tiny blue suspenders that one December when we built a bonfire in the middle of the frozen lake and I skated around its flames with my snowsuit's frozen zipper sticking to my tongue. My mother said, "Smile for the camera." I can still remember the flash and that enormous fire with the ice beneath it that didn't even crack.